What would you do if the face you saw in the mirror each morning was never yours? If it was a borrowed face, a loan from a spirit you never meant to invite in? For Elara Mbeki, this was not a nightmare. It was her beautiful, terrible secret. A secret that granted her every wish for beauty and admiration. But this morning, the rules of the game have changed. This morning, the mirror did not show a stranger. It showed a girl whose face was on every news bulletin and missing poster in the city. And the face was screaming. Elara was not always the woman who stopped traffic in Port Matthias. Once, she was invisible. A background figure in her own life, a graphic designer with a kind heart that everyone seemed to look straight through. Her face, she believed, was forgettable. Her features, unremarkable. In a world that worshipped beauty, Elara felt like a ghost. But her deepest flaw was not her appearance. It was a seed of resentment that grew in the silence. A longing to be seen, to be desired, to be envied. She watched as colleagues like the effortlessly stunning Martha got promotions and attention, while her own hard work vanished into the ether. The bitterness was a slow poison. Her salvation came from a place she thought was a dream. A feverish night, sweat-soaked sheets, and a voice like shifting sand. It spoke from the corner of her dark room. "I can give you the face of the day," it whispered. "Every dawn, a new visage of beauty. All I ask is a drop of blood upon the glass to seal the pact." When she woke, on her dresser, stood a mirror. Its frame was carved from dark, ancient wood, inlaid with swirling patterns that seemed to move if you stared too long. This was no dream. Desperate, hopeful, and trembling, Elara pricked her finger. The first morning, she gasped. Staring back was a woman with high cheekbones, almond eyes, and flawless skin. She looked like a Nollywood star. That day, heads turned. Doors opened. People listened. The second morning, another face, equally breathtaking. Elara was addicted. She was no longer a ghost. She was a chameleon of beauty, and the city was her leaf. But have you ever heard the saying, "The spirit gives, but it always, always collects"? The first sign was the cold. A deep, bone-aching chill that clung to her every morning after the ritual, no matter the weather. Then, the dreams. Vivid, chaotic flashes of other lives, a woman arguing with a lover, another crying at a funeral, a girl laughing on a beach, all wearing the faces she had borrowed. Elara ignored it. The price, she told herself, was worth it. Weeks turned to months. Elara's vanity grew with each new face. She began to take risks, to toy with people. She would flirt with Martha's boyfriend while wearing a face of innocent charm, then drop the guys the next day to watch the couple fight. She was a goddess playing with mortals. But the mirror's appetite changed. The faces were no longer just beautiful. They began to look sad. Haunted. One morning, she saw a face with fresh tear tracks. Another had a bruise fading on its temple. The chill in her room became a permanent winter. Her own reflection, her true face, began to fade from her memory. If she tried to remember it, she saw only a blur. Then came the visit from her grandmother, Mama Amina, from the village. The old woman took one step into Elara's chic apartment and froze, her nostrils flaring. "You Miri," Mama Amina hissed, clutching her cowrie shell necklace. "A water spirit. It has laid its claim here." "What have you done, child? I smell many souls in this place, all crying." Elara, adorned with that day's borrowed beauty, laughed it off. "Mama, you are too superstitious. This is the city." Mama Amina's eyes, milky with age but sharp with knowing, locked onto the covered mirror. "You feed it your blood, and it feeds you stolen faces. But tell me, my clever granddaughter, where do you think those faces come from? And what happens to the people they are stolen from?" A sliver of ice, sharper than the chill, pierced Elara's heart. She had never asked. She didn't want to know. She ushered her grandmother out, ignoring the old woman's final warning, shouted from the hallway, "The spirit does not just show you a face, Elara. It hides the owner. It swallows them into the reflection so you can walk in their light. Stop before it shows you a face you recognize." The warning festered in her mind. The next borrowed face had a look of sheer terror frozen upon it. Elara wore it, and that entire day, she felt a constant, panicked urge to look over her shoulder, to run. And then, we arrive at this morning. The ritual was automatic now. Prick. Smear. Watch the blood sink into the glass as if the mirror were drinking. The surface shimmered like the surface of a dark pond. And the face that coalesced made Elara's blood turn to stone. It was young. Sweet-faced, with large eyes and braided hair. A small, silver butterfly pendant rested on her collarbone. Elara knew this face. Everyone in Port Matthias knew this face. Blessing Jane. The university student who had vanished from a bus stop 2 weeks ago. Her poster was taped to lampposts, shared on every social media feed. #FindBlessing. Elara screamed and stumbled back from the dresser. But the reflection moved independently. Blessing's eyes, wide with panic, darted around the confines of the mirror. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. Then, she began to pound on the glass from the inside, her hands leaving faint, misty prints that faded as quickly as they appeared. The mirror was no longer showing her a borrowed face. It was showing her a prison. Elara's scream died in her throat, replaced by a whimper of pure terror. She scrambled forward, her hands slapping against the cold glass. "Blessing," she whispered. Inside the mirror, the girl's pounding intensified. Her silent screams were now visible as a ghostly frost that spread from her mouth across the glass. Elara could see the desperate heaving of her chest, the raw terror in her eyes. This was no dream, no borrowed visage. This was a soul, trapped. Mama Amina's words echoed like a gong in her mind. It swallows them into the reflection so you can walk in their light. All this time, her beauty, her confidence, her power. It was all built on the disappearance of others. She was a parasite, dressed in the faces of the lost. A new text appeared in the bottom corner of the mirror, scripted in that same watery, shifting script as before. It was not a voice, but the words formed directly in her mind. The pact is balance. A face for a face. To keep one, you must replace it. Offer a new name, a new life, or this one will be lost forever to the deep. The spirit was not just collecting payment. It was demanding she become an accomplice. To free Blessing, she had to condemn another. No. Elara shouted at the mirror. Let her go. I'm done. The pact is over. The chill in the room intensified, crawling up her legs like vines of ice. The face in the mirror changed. Blessing's terrified features melted away, replaced by a swirling, dark vortex in the glass. From its depths, the sand voice spoke aloud, filling the room, vibrating in her teeth. You are the vessel. The door is opened. Blood sealed the covenant. Only blood can transfer the debt. Bring me another. Or wear this girl's face until her body dies of thirst in the dark. And then wear her death. The mirror showed Blessing again, now slumped, weak, her fingers trailing limply against the glass. Paralyzed by guilt and fear, Elara did the unthinkable. She rationalized. She told herself she was saving a life. Just one name. Someone no one would miss. Her mind, poisoned by the mirror's magic, leapt to Kofi, the rude, leering janitor in her office building. A bitter, lonely man. Would anyone truly search for him? Tears of shame hot on her cheeks, she whispered his name to the mirror. The glass surged, turning a murky, turbulent green, like a stormy ocean. For a second, she saw a flash, Kofi, looking confused, staring into a puddle of rainwater. Then he was gone. In the mirror, Blessing's image flickered, faded, and was replaced by Kofi's terrified, bewildered face, now trapped where the girl had been. Elara's phone buzzed violently on the dresser. A news alert. Breaking, missing student Blessing Jane found wandering near lagoon, disoriented but alive. She had done it. She had saved a life. But at what cost? She looked back at the mirror. Kofi's face was pressed against it, mouthing silent curses at her. And the surface of the glass no longer reflected her room. It reflected the deep, endless dark of water. She was no longer just a borrower. She was a jailer. The following days were a special kind of hell. Elara was now a prisoner in her own life. The mirror demanded a new name every third day, or the current captive would fade. She became a hunter in the shadows, whispering the names of the forgotten, a homeless man, a petty thief, a distant, unpleasant relative, to the insatiable glass. With each sacrifice, her own soul withered. Her apartment felt perpetually damp. She could smell riverweed and decay. Sometimes, in the corner of her eye, she'd see the fleeting, watery forms of those she'd condemned. Their whispers filled her silence. Why me? Let me out. The final thread of her humanity snapped when the mirror showed her the next target, Joy, her kind-hearted neighbor who brought her soup when she was sick. Elara broke. She could not do it. She took a hammer, wrapped in a towel, and swung it at the mirror with a guttural cry. The hammer bounced off as if hitting solid granite, the force numbing her arms. The mirror didn't even scratch. That night, the spirit spoke without prompt. You break the cycle. You bear the cost. Tomorrow, you wear the face of the forgotten. You will take their place. The next morning, she performed the ritual with trembling hands. The blood was absorbed. The glass swirled. And the face that formed was her own. But not the beautiful, borrowed one. It was her true face, the forgettable, plain face she had sacrificed so long ago. It looked terrified. And behind it, in the watery depths, she could see the shifting, grasping shadows of all those she had condemned. The text appeared in the glass. The vessel is full. The door swings both ways. A force, like a hook behind her navel, yanked her forward. She felt a terrible, cold suction. Her vision darkened at the edges, tunneling towards the mirror. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. She was being pulled into the glass. With a final, silent gasp, Elara Mbeki vanished from her bedroom. On the floor, the hammer lay beside the dresser. The mirror stood, serene and dark. For a moment, it showed an empty, watery gloom. Then, a new face pressed against the inside of the glass. Eyes wide with fresh horror, mouth open in a scream no one could hear. It was Elara. And outside, in the real world, her phone began to ring. On the caller ID, Mama Amina. When Mama Amina arrived with a babalawo, a priest, they found an empty apartment, cold as a tomb, and a mirror that reflected nothing but dark, still water. The priest sealed the mirror with sacred symbols and ash, and it was taken to be buried at a crossroads, where no one would ever find it. Elara was declared a missing person. Another face on the posters. Some in Port Matthias whispered she had run away from death. Others, who knew older stories, just shook their heads and said the spirits had finally collected what was owed. But what do you think, dear viewer? Did Elara's initial desire make her a victim of a predatory spirit? Or did her choice to sacrifice others to save herself seal her own damnation? She wanted to be seen. And in the end, she was lost in a prison of her own making, just another forgotten face in the dark. The moral is as cold as the mirror's glass. Vanity that feeds on the suffering of others does not beautify, it erases. First, it erases your conscience. Then, it erases your soul. And finally, it erases you from the world itself, leaving behind only a silent, screaming reflection of your crimes. Don't forget to subscribe to Safari of Tales and hit the bell icon. We delve into the deepest, darkest folktales so you don't have to learn these lessons the hard way. Until next time. Remember to be careful what you wish for in the mirror.